Welcome to What's New Today at OFA. This podcast comes to you from the participants of the Film and Media program at Options for All San Diego. The Film and Media program introduces participants with physical and developmental disabilities to all of the various aspects of filmmaking. What's New Today at OFA is a variety show podcast featuring exciting segments produced by Options for All students. And now, what's new today at OFA?
Coming to you from Options for All studio in America's finest city, San Diego. It's time to play Lights, Camera, Trivia. And now your host, Vesna Basti.
Thanks, Jesus. Hi everyone, I'm Vesna Basti. And welcome to Lights, Camera, Trivia. Today, our contestants are Ross, Bristol, and Brandon Beveridge. We have 3 rounds with 3 questions each. Points increase every round with the final round worth 100 points. The contestant with the most points at the end of the show wins. Jesus, tell us what our contestants are playing for.
Today's grand prize is an all-expense paid trip to the moon.
And now, let's get started. Our first round theme is comedy. Each question is worth 10 points. Question 1. In the movie The Father of the Bride, which actor plays Martin Short's partner? Ross.
That would be B.D. Wong.
B.D. Wong was the correct answer. Question 2. What city does the Goonies take place in? Brandon.
Astoria, Oregon.
That's correct. Question 3. Where does Kevin's family travel to in Home Alone? Brandon.
Chicago.
Incorrect. That question goes to Ross.
They travel to Paris, France.
That is correct. Paris, France it is. That's it for round 1. Let's begin with Jesus to see who's in the lead.
Glad you asked, Vesna. So far, with a total of 20 points, Ross is in the lead.
Great. Now on to round 2. The theme for this round is action and superheroes. Each question is now worth 20 points. Question 1. What was Superman's name on Krypton? Ross.
Kal-El.
Question 2. What quote is the following movie from? Dry land is not a myth.
Is it Aquaman?
Incorrect. And it goes to Brandon.
I'm going to have to pass on this one.
The answer was Waterworld. Question 3. In Thor Ragnarok, what is the name of the demon who seeks the eternal flame? Ross.
I don't know the Eternal Flame Demon. I forget his name, but I know he's voiced by Clancy Brown. I have no idea.
Brandon.
I'm going to have to pass.
The answer was Surtur. That's it for round 2. Let's get back in with Jesus to see who's in the lead now.
Thank you, Vesna. And now back to the scoreboard with a total of 40 points. Ross is in the lead.
Out. Looks like Brandon needs to catch up. On to round 3. The round's theme is animation. Questions are now worth 50 points each. Question 1. Who was the original voice of Mickey Mouse? Ross.
That would be Walt Disney.
That is correct. Question 2. In which underwater city does SpongeBob live? Ross.
Bikini Bottom.
Correct. Question 3. Which movie studio released Spirited Away? Brandon.
Studio Ghibli.
That is correct. That's it for round 3. Let's check back in with Jesus to see who's in the lead now.
All right. And now we have a huge lead with a total of 140 points. Ross is in the lead.
Ross has a big lead, but Brandon can still pull on a win in the final round. The final round is one question only and is worth 100 points. Good luck to you both. What Martin Scorsese's movie holds the all-time record for F-bombs? Ross.
The Wolf of Wall Street.
That is correct. Let's check in with Jesus one more time for the final tally.
And with a total of 240 points, the winner of this game is Ross.
Congratulations, Ross. You've won an all-expense paid trip to the moon. We'll make sure to have our telescopes ready for your trip. I'd like to thank both of our contestants for playing, and to everyone at home, thanks for listening to Light Camera Trivia.
And now it's time for the Catch-Up, sponsored by Ketchup. Every now and then, we like to visit the past students to see what life is like post Options for All. It's great to see the word of wisdom they have for current students and the world. Today's guest is Christy Bennett.
Christy, what is your favorite movie?
I'm sure some of you noticed my favorite movie is Tattoo actually, Titanic and The Dirt, that Motley Crue movie.
Ooh.
All right, well, this is going to answer my next question. What's your favorite kind of music and why?
Oh, that's a good question. So obviously my favorite kind of music is rock and roll, like classic and some modern day rock and roll. I grew up on music, I grew up specifically on music, specifically on rock and roll. And I do have an interesting story about when I was a baby, where my mom actually knew someone who worked at a radio station. And I guess he had connections with Guns N' Roses, and then next thing you know, once Guns N' Roses performed, after they reached out, Axl Rose dedicated the Sweet Child of Mine song to me when I was 4 months old.
All right.
That's cool.
What got you interested in film and media?
What got me interested, because I like to be very creative, and I tend to have an open mind to creative things. And plus, I like working with other people on collaboration and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So once my social worker told me about this film and media program, I was like, ooh, I want to give that a shot. And yeah, I mean, I next thing you know, I a lot of things happened after I graduated. So
wow, that's really awesome.
What are you currently doing with your life?
So I do have a couple projects I'm doing. One of them is my blog called Shiny by Band Talk. It's not really focused much on movies. It is a little bit with rock and roll movies and all that. It's more towards music. So I've been working on that. I started that back during the pandemic, when the pandemic started. So I've been working on that, and I'm also currently a blogger for this other company I'm working for called Time Ends Radio. So I've been working with them and doing blogging music news and entertainment news. And I've been doing this for about a little over a year now.
Hey, Christy, what inspires you?
So I have a huge inspiration in my life. Nikki Sixx, the bass player and the founder of Motley Crue. And he inspires me to do my best in life and to go out of my way and challenge myself, especially because he's doing all these projects. He's aside from band stuff, he just recently released a book, and he's released some merch for the fans. And it's cool because he actually follows me because I created an Instagram account because I got a little Nikki Sixx doll made, and I created the Instagram account dedicated to it, and he follows it, which I thought was really cool. Him and his wife follow it.
Who are your mentors?
So aside from my mom, I will say one of my mentors, he actually used to be in Options for All as one of the teachers, but then he started his own company. So it's Max. So it's Max. He's a big mentor of mine, and he actually got me to get out of my comfort zone and whatnot. And obviously, my mentor in spirit would probably be Nikki Sixx. So yeah.
Wow, that's really cool. Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Did the things you learned at OFA benefit your life and career?
It has, definitely, because when I'm doing my blogs, and especially because some of the blog posts I do are about interviews, so I have to big time network and whatnot with other people out there, other musicians, or the crew or the people behind the scenes. So it taught me a lot about networking with other people and working with other people, and it's benefited my blog. It's benefited me personally, and yeah, I mean, I learned a lot, and I learned especially a lot about sound designing and whatnot, especially because yeah.
Hello, Christy. Thank you for joining us today. And I have to say, excellent taste in movies on the whole Titanic thing. Having been through the program and now out on your own trying to establish a career, what advice do you have for the current students here at Options for All?
So one of the biggest things I will advise you guys is that once you graduate from Options for All and whatnot, it's a whole new ball game once you're getting into the film industry and whatnot, because you have to do it not only because you're making films, but you have to crowdfund for the films, because I'm currently working on producing a film right now called Wasted Days. But yeah, so that's a whole new ball game. It's you have to pretty much up your game. And also another advice is that you have to network a lot. So it requires a lot of networking. So if you want to shoot a film, you have to network, contact people, and and obviously be professional about it. And you have to and ask them if they're interested on wanting to do that. Because I remember having to do that with this film that's currently in the works I'm working on. Yeah, so yeah.
Can you leave us with anything else? And do you have a social media that we can follow you on?
So I do have an Instagram page. If you want to follow me, it's GGX101. Give that a follow. Shining by Band Talk, that's another one. You can give that a follow as well. It's mainly on Instagram. And I also have another one called Mini Nikki Sixx Pics, and you can give that a follow too, because it's starting to build. That page is starting to build up really fast. So I'm on LinkedIn too. You just find Christine Bennett, and you'll see my picture. I'm on LinkedIn also. Thank you guys so much for having me here. It's been an honor. I mean, I was been interviewed another time for a different person, but yeah, I mean, it's really great to be on here and know some of the new faces and some of the people I already know. So thank you guys so much.
You're welcome. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us,
Yeah, thank you,
Christy.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us as well.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, Christy. It was great to catch up with you. No tomatoes were harmed in the making of this segment.
Welcome to Options for All's Riveting Reviews. Hello, this is Ross Bristow, and of course, I am Options for All's movie critic, one of many. And of course, today's movie I will be reviewing is the 2014 legal drama, The Judge. The Judge is about a Chicago lawyer, who's kind of a jerk, goes home for his mother's funeral, and then, of course, his father, the next morning he's leaving, but then his father, ends up, being accused of murder. So then, of course, he must defend his father. The movie is actually very, very, very well made, and then the acting is good. The screenplay I had a little bit of problems with, but I will not spoil it here. But still, it is a good, underrated movie. I mean, when you have Robert Downey Jr. and Robert Duvall acting alongside each other, that it's really good. That the acting is just going to be incredible, and I actually think it is underrated, and I'd probably give it about maybe a 7.5 to an 8 out of 10. Thank you for listening to Options for All's Riveting Reviews.
You're listening to The Conversation by Options for All Film and Media. I'm Jake, your host. Joining me today is Caden, an OFA student with a passion for creativity. He's a talented artist and an innovative storyteller. Caden, welcome to The Conversation.
Thank you so much, Jake. I'm glad to be here.
I know we've been talking about doing this for a while, and now we're doing it.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Okay, well, I'm going to roll into our first question. I'd like to begin with really a question that we ask all of our guests. What is your favorite film and why?
Okay, so this was actually a really difficult question to think about. So I have a lot of favorite films, but it's hard to list them all in order. So instead of saying my favorite film of all time, I'm just going to say my favorite film in the moment. And that film would have to be Luca from Disney and Pixar. The reason why, yeah, but anyways, the reason why I really love that film is because some way, somehow, it was able to touch my heart and was able to put an understanding that it tells a different type of story, but in a way that anybody could understand. And that's something that I strive to do.
That's great. Wow. I'm going to have to rewatch Luca now. That sounds great. So what would you say inspires you?
Well, I'd have to say we could go back to when I was younger. I loved animation, not just because of the visuals and how it can be manipulated to a way where anybody could enjoy it if they really wanted to, but also out of all of the things that I've seen in film, I've noticed that I've been able to be myself. I'm considered an artist, mainly with traditional and even digital art. And it's something that I've always wanted to do. I didn't know this until late high school, however. And when I realized what kind of, not talent, but the skill that I earned from hard work over years and years of practice, it made me realize that I can do so much more with it. And here I am now learning about the film industry.
That is so amazing. And I can attest for our listeners that you are a terrific artist. So it's awesome to have you on the program. So what excites you about being a part of OFA?
I guess the thing is, there's a few things that excite me, actually. First of all, I get to meet people who are just like me in terms of like goals. I actually have people in my life who want to be in a similar position that I'm in, whether it be a cinematographer or a director or somebody who can do storyboard art or animation, anything like that. It brings up more inspiration for me. It just makes me feel a lot better about myself in a way.
It's so true, isn't it? When you think about it, that when you're placed in a context where there are people who are all creative, it really just, it's inspiring. You know, I had a similar experience when I first started this program as well.
It's so amazing.
Yeah. What can you tell me about your latest projects that you've been working on? What are you most excited about?
So I actually was talked to about by one of the teachers here, and I was actually talked to about by the screenwriting teacher here at OFA, Pedro. Shout out to him. Apparently, I did a pitch for a possible pilot of a series I've always wanted to make since somewhere in high school, I guess junior year. And the fact that I noticed that the teachers absolutely love my pitch and are wanting to go forward with it, it brings me so much joy. I can't say too much about the project, but I know that once it's gotten to a certain point, it's going to be so amazing to share it with the world.
Wow, that is so exciting. I can't wait to see what you're working on. So recently we started something new at OFA called Samurai versus Samurai. What are your thoughts about that project? How's your group going?
It's really interesting. I have to admit there was some pretty rough. There was a pretty rough start when it came to working with the group that I was in. However, we actually worked on it earlier today, and it was a lot better than how it was before with the group. It teaches me to actually be a team player, which I admit I am not the best at, but I'm getting better. So that's the plus.
What is your biggest dream?
My biggest dream? Well, I have to admit, this actually goes back to the fourth question that you said to me about my latest project. That project right there is part of my biggest dream, and it's to make a TV show that's based off of different experiences that I have seen and dealt with. And it's basically something that I want to show to the world. And I want to use that show to help break down the stigma that is in mental health, specifically with psychotic disorders such as schizophrenia and schizoaffective disorder, which I personally have, and other things like that, along with just being able to understand what's going on in the world while dealing with something like that as well.
Wow. That's very powerful, and that's so cool to hear. If you could say anything to your fellow students, what would you say?
This is a question that it's really hitting me hard right now because, okay, what I would love to say to all the students, not just here, but probably in any school, don't let others bring you down, especially when they are, whether they be higher ups at your work or your parents or your siblings or friends, anybody. You are the reason you are here, and you are the controller of your destiny.
Wow. That is so encouraging. I really appreciate that. Well, that's our show. Thank you to our special guest, Caden. To learn more about Options for All, visit optionsforall.org. I'm Jake. You've been listening to The Conversation.
Thank you for listening to What's New Today at OFA. To learn more about the film and media program at Options for All, please visit optionsforall.org. And remember, you have options too.